What if I told you that government agents are walking around with regular phones that can instantly tell them who you are just by taking your picture? This isn't a movie. This is real. And it's happening right now in America. Immigration agents now carry an app called Mobile Fortify that can scan your face or fingerprints and know who you are in seconds. They can do this anywhere, on the street, at your job, even at protests. The scary part? Most Americans have no idea this exists. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how this works and why everyone should be worried about it. Let me explain Mobile Fortify in simple terms. It's like having a super-powered ID scanner in your phone. Here's how it works. An ICE agent points their phone camera at someone and takes a picture of their face or fingerprints. The app then searches huge government databases to find out who that person is. Within seconds, the agent knows if you've ever traveled outside the U.S., been arrested, or had any contact with immigration. All from just pointing a phone at you. This app was secretly given to thousands of ICE agents across the entire country. They didn't announce it. They didn't ask permission. We only found out because someone leaked internal emails. Think about that. The government gave agents a tool to instantly identify anyone, and they kept it completely secret from the public. Before, agents needed special fingerprint machines or had to bring people to a police station to identify them. Now they can do it anywhere with just their phone. At a traffic stop, outside your house, or even while you're walking down the street. To understand why this is so powerful, you need to know what databases this app searches. First, it searches photos from when people enter or leave the United States. If you've traveled internationally in recent years, your photo is probably in this database. Second, it searches a fingerprint database with records on over 320 million people. That's almost everyone in America, plus millions of visitors and immigrants. Here's the problem. This information wasn't collected to spy on people walking around America. It was collected when people legally crossed borders or applied for visas. Now the government is using that same data to identify people on American streets. It's like if the DMV started using your driver's license photo to track you everywhere you go. Because this runs on a regular phone with internet, agents can access all this information anywhere. In your neighborhood, at the mall, during a protest, anywhere they want. The government has turned every ICE agent's phone into a portable surveillance device that can identify almost anyone in America. Here's the problem. This information wasn't collected to spy on people walking around America. It was collected when people legally crossed borders or applied for visas. Now the government is using that same data to identify people on American streets. It's like if the DMV started using your driver's license photo to track you everywhere you go. Because this runs on a regular phone with internet, agents can access all this information anywhere. In your neighborhood, at the mall, during a protest, anywhere they want. The government has turned every ICE agent's phone into a portable surveillance device that can identify almost anyone in America. Here's where things get really concerning. Nobody knows if this is actually legal. There are no laws that specifically say the government can or can't use facial recognition apps like this. Congress has never voted on whether ICE should be able to scan people's faces on the street. The Constitution says the government can't search you without a good reason. But when an agent points their phone at you and scans your face, is that a search? Most lawyers think it is, but courts haven't decided yet. The government can definitely take your photo when you cross the border. That's allowed. But using those same photos to identify you when you're just walking around your own neighborhood? That's a totally different situation. Right now, ICE is operating in what lawyers call a gray zone. They're doing something that might be illegal, but nobody has stopped them yet because the laws haven't caught up to the technology. There's another big problem. Facial recognition makes mistakes all the time. It's especially bad at identifying people with darker skin. So innocent people could get arrested because a computer made an error. But there are no rules about what happens when the app gets it wrong. No way for people to challenge mistakes. No protection for people who get falsely identified. Here's why this affects everyone, not just immigrants. The ACLU calls this technology notoriously unreliable and says it has already led to wrongful arrests across the country. They're calling it a recipe for disaster. But the bigger problem is what this does to freedom. When you know the government might be scanning your face anywhere you go, it changes how you behave. Maybe you don't go to a protest because you're worried about being identified. Maybe you avoid certain neighborhoods. Maybe you're just constantly looking over your shoulder. One privacy expert said this creates an Orwellian world where Big Brother is always observing. That means constant government watching, like in the scary book, 1984. Remember, this technology can identify anyone. So if you've ever traveled internationally, you could be in these databases. ICE could potentially scan crowds at protests, outside schools, or at community events. This is what experts call mission creep. Technology that was supposed to be used for border security is now being used to spy on people inside America. The app even has a training mode, which means agents are practicing how to use it in different situations. They might be testing it on crowds, at events, or just on random people they encounter. And here's the scariest part. There are no rules limiting how they can use it. No oversight, no accountability. Agents can basically scan anyone they want, anytime they want. Mobile Fortify is part of a bigger picture. ICE has been secretly partnering with tech companies to build a massive surveillance network. They've spent over $3.6 million on contracts with a company called Clearview AI, which scraped billions of photos from Facebook, Instagram, and other social media sites. So your vacation photos or profile pictures could be used to identify you. They've also paid $30 million to a company called Palantir, which builds systems to track and analyze data on millions of people. All the information from Mobile Fortify probably feeds into these bigger surveillance systems. What's really concerning is how secret all of this has been. We only found out about Mobile Fortify through leaked emails. The contracts with these tech companies were hidden until journalists dug them up. This shows a pattern. The government is building a massive surveillance system without telling the public. By the time we find out about these tools, they're already being used on American streets. Nobody voted for this. Congress didn't approve it. The public never had a chance to say whether they wanted this kind of surveillance in their communities. Here's maybe the most shocking part. There's basically no oversight of this program. There are no rules about who can use the app, when they can use it, how long they can store your information, what they do if they make a mistake, or who's watching to make sure it's not abused. Government investigators have found problems with ICE's technology before, but nobody has specifically looked at Mobile Fortify or put any limits on it. Some members of Congress have tried to ban facial recognition by federal agencies, but those bills haven't passed. Most lawmakers don't even know this program exists. Some cities like San Francisco have banned their police from using facial recognition. But ICE is a federal agency, so those local rules don't apply to them. Civil rights groups say this is like a digital version of stop and frisk, where police could stop and search anyone they wanted. Except now it's scan and identify with facial recognition. Privacy experts warn that every day this continues without rules. It becomes more normal. If we let this kind of surveillance become everyday life before we make laws about it, it'll be much harder to stop later. Right now, ICE agents can scan anyone they want, anywhere they want, with no oversight at all. So here's what we know. ICE has a secret app that can identify almost anyone using databases that were built for completely different purposes. They're using it everywhere with no rules, no oversight, and no accountability. This affects all of us. If you've ever traveled internationally or had any contact with the immigration system, you could be in these databases. And facial recognition technology makes so many mistakes that innocent people are definitely getting hurt. So, what can you do? First, contact your representatives in Congress. Tell them you want oversight of surveillance programs like this. Second, support organizations like the ACLU that are fighting against this kind of surveillance. Third, stay informed and spread the word. The government won't tell you about these programs. That's why videos like this matter. The technology exists. The databases are built. The only question is whether we're going to let the government use them without any limits. If this video shocked you, share it. Subscribe for more videos about government surveillance and your rights. Because the more people know about this, the harder it becomes for the government to operate in the shadows. The future of privacy in America depends on whether we pay attention to what's happening right now.